dating has changed ridiculously so honestly in the last 8 years.
Wow.
They're set up and designed so that you get addicted and you just keep
Oh,
and you
sure.
just keep
Yeah.
swiping and you can't stop. No, that's the opposite of what you should be doing,
Just want
because
one.
since there's nobody filtering or pre-qualifying people on the dating apps, it's up to you to filter and pre-qualify. While they might want all different types or age ranges, they definitely want someone A game.
Hello, today is very exciting. This is going to be fun. We have a celebrity, and what would you call yourself, Gina? Celebrity
They call me, people refer to me as celebrity and the billionaire matchmaker.
I didn't want to forget the billionaire part.
Yeah. I work mainly with multimillionaires and billionaires for matchmaking.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not just your ordinary run-of-the-mill matchmaker, but celebrity and billionaire.
Yeah. I'm about to sign a new celebrity tomorrow, as a matter of fact.
Wow.
So I have a question right away then. Why would a celebrity come to you to hook up for dating, or are they like looking to get married, or?
Yeah, that's a great question. So that's also what makes me very different than most matchmakers. I think that when people think matchmaking, they think Lonely Hearts Club. And while I do think it's true for a lot of matchmakers, for me, I'm more of a gatekeeper. So my guys have no problem meeting women. My guys are like the guy that all the women are flocking to, but they're busy, they're private, they don't know how to sift through all these women. And so my job then becomes to go and find like the most insanely perfect woman on the planet. And I'm in the beyond perfect business, and then find that she's also got the education and the morals, and she's grounded. It's just everything they're looking for. And it's incredibly hard.
If you like our videos, go ahead and click on like and subscribe. We really appreciate it. Thanks.
Sure.
Those men get snapped up like that.
Yeah.
I know. I was listening to Alec Baldwin. Here's the Thing. He has a podcast, and he was saying how he went on dating sites, and he had a way of disguising himself, I guess, for some reason on these sites, which I thought was really interesting, which is something I want to talk to you about in a minute, about all these different dating sites and how you advise people, and if you do.
I am an expert in that field. I'm obsessed with the dating apps and dating sites. So.
Oh my gosh, that's great, because our audience is obsessed with it too.
Perfect.
So, well, then let's just get right into it. Do you recommend any off the top of your head? Do you recommend any particular dating sites?
So when I do like coaching for women, and when I do the coaching for men, because that's another part of the business, I specifically coach them on how to do dating better using the dating apps or dating sites, whatever. And, and I've done webinars on this, and I've looked at it from all sides. And, when I talk to like the top of the line, which the majority of people aren't on it, is Raya. And I don't know if you've talked about Raya, but Raya, it's mostly models and celebrities. But the problem for women on Raya, for example, is they experience the same issues, if not more so, than the women on the other dating apps, because men on Raya are literally kids in a candy store. So the problem most women have on the dating apps, or the complaint I hear from women, is that, the guys won't commit. The guys won't pull the trigger to ask them out on dates, or they're playing around, let's say. And so Raya, for that reason, is even more prevalent, because why would the guy pick one when he could have so many beautiful women in it? And so that's kind of a problem I see at the highest level of Raya. And then, of course, you have the League, and you have Hinge, and then you have Bumble and Tinder. I mean, those are just sort of the main ones and then there's Luxy. But my go-to when I tell people, and I'm a creature of habit, is I like Bumble. I think Hinge is really great too. And I've set some people up on Hinge, like set them up, meaning I've set up their accounts and fixed it for them. But I think what's important for people to remember is you've got to go where the numbers are. So I think depending on where you're located, though, that's also the key. Because
location.
If you're in a major metropolitan city, then I would say Bumble might be your place, because if you're a person who is kind of up on current events, or you're stylish, I think that's going to be a site, dating app that's a little bit more current, right? But if you are, let's say, somewhere way in the Midwest, way on the outskirts, I then would say you may want to take a look at Match.com. Good old Match.com.
Sure.
Maybe even Farmers.com, which I'm not that familiar with it, but somebody has mentioned it to me before.
Wait, what was that called? FarmersMatch.com?
I think it's like it's Farmers Dating, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Where
that's
ladies go when they want to meet a good, solid man.
Good man. Milk the cow.
You know, I think that site is doing very, very well. So,
Well, there's a lot of farmers out there, you know.
a lot of farmers. So, you know, it just depends. I think what people need to factor in is who they are, because
Sure.
a lot of people are so concerned with who they're looking for, but they don't look at who they are. And, you know, and so if you're not up with to be on the Olympics of dating or the super highway of dating, which would be Bumble, or that's like the super highway of dating. You got to be up on it, right? But if you're not that person, if you're a little older, or if you want somebody a little more down to earth, you may want to take a look at Match.com or even eHarmony.
Yeah, those last two that you just mentioned, I was telling Kellie earlier that a couple of my friends actually married the very first people they dated on those two sites, and they ended up getting married.
How long ago was that?
Oh gosh, it's probably been a good 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Have things changed?
Dating has changed ridiculously so honestly in the last 8 years. In the last, I would say 8 years. Once Tinder came on the scene and created this whole swiping thing, it really changed the landscape for dating, and then, you know, made dating more like, it just opened the playing field for everybody to be like more comfortable doing it. Now there's no stigma really attached to any of that online dating anymore. So the floodgates are open, and that is both good and bad.
Sure.
Right?
So there's more
of everything. It is the super highway of dating. And I also say in one of the books I'm writing right now called Secrets, I have two: Secrets Men Tell Me, Secrets Women Tell Me. But it's really the Olympics of dating. So you have to look at it like, if you are going to go on any of those sites, you have to be aware of your competition, and you have to bring your A game. You know, you can't just, I'm just going to say it, you can't just half-ass it. You can't put pictures that don't elevate you to a certain level. And if you want a certain caliber of person, right, you really have to show up ready.
And that's what I wanted to talk to you about a little bit later too, because I know you do that master class and you kind of guide women and men probably, right?
I do the profiles. I tell them what to say, what to do, how to message back, the whole thing. I kind of run it from behind the scenes. Because
a lot of these really rich billionaire guys, maybe they're not as personality friendly. They don't know how to deal dating their personalities.
Well, now, not my actual matchmaking clients. They pretty much show up ready.
Oh, good.
Those guys, because I'm also so picky about the guys I work with. So for my matchmaking, you know, I've created this niche where I'm so ridiculously picky about even the guys I will work with. So they pretty much have to show up ready. And maybe I do a little coaching behind the scenes. It's subtle, so that they don't really even realize they're being coached. Whereas, but I do find like with the other men that aren't my matchmaking clients, that I do coach for the dating apps or the dating sites. A lot of these men have been married before.
Sure.
And they're getting back in the game. And so they don't know what pictures to pick. They don't know. And some of these men, you know, women want to say, oh, there's no good guys on the dating apps. Oh, there's no, you know, but there's great guys on the dating apps. It's just the men who are on the dating apps, even if they're super great, a lot of times don't know how to stand out.
That's true. Kellie and I were talking about that. We want to maybe do a future episode about that. Dating also divorced men or dating men with kids. Yeah. Sometimes that's a little more challenging.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
For other reasons.
Yes.
Right?
And a lot of times the best guys, the guys that are really looking for real relationships that the women would really want, get lost in the shuffle because they don't know how to stand out. And it's those player guys, they know how to stand out.
Of course, yeah.
Which is why the women then get disappointed because they picked those guys and they should have been picking the others.
Sure. Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah,
that was my concern.
We know about the
with
players,
dating
right?
app. Yeah. Well, that's my concern with the dating apps, and this is foreign territory for me. So, what about chemistry, and what about things in common? I guess you do a profile, and
Yeah, so here's the thing. I give women and men two different sets of advice here. I say for the men, they need to cast a wide net and shoot fish in a barrel, which I can go more into detail if you want me to. And I think women need to be way more specific. But what happened with their profile and what they're looking for in dating apps? But see, what happens is these dating apps are set up in a way, it's called gamification. And I don't know if you've heard that term, but it's also called a compulsion loop. And it's purposely built in. That's the psychology behind the dating apps. Is like they're set up and designed so that you get addicted and you just keep going, and you just keep stepping and you can't stop. And so what happens with the psychology behind it is everybody gets on these dating apps and they're seeking everyone's approval, right? So a lot of times women, when they want to get married, when they want to have children, they won't say that necessarily. They're afraid because they want everyone to like them. And I said, no, that's the opposite of what you should be doing. Because since there's nobody filtering or pre-qualifying people on the dating apps, it's up to you to filter and pre-qualify. And what you need to do is the opposite of what the mentality is. You need to try to turn as many guys off as you possibly can.
Good point.
Because the women are inundated and you can't sift through all the guys that are coming at you on the dating. So listen, if you're a little heavy, be a little heavy. I think another mistake women make is they want to look so perfect, but they're not going to show up that way. And then they say, gosh, Gina, I get a lot of first dates, but I don't get any second dates. Well, that's why. Because you've done this filter, because you've hid how you look. So what you should do is be authentic so that you can not match with everybody, but you can match with those guys that actually want to meet you.
Sure. That's a good point.
Doing it the right way, you know?
It seems a little bit superficial too. So you want to filter out the guys that are just looking for looks, because
absolutely
you're not always going to get the best guys that are looking for just a pretty face.
No, I mean,
quality.
You're setting yourself up for disappointment. If you cannot show up and deliver what they are expecting, what you've sold them on, then you're wasting your time and theirs, and it's pointless.
That's true. It's a good point. It's like acting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Your headshot has to look like you.
Yep.
I had a couple other ones that because I've not been on the sites in a while myself, like OkCupid, Coffee Meets Bagel. Are those any good?
Well, I've heard some good things about Coffee Meets Bagel. OkCupid, those are just more traditional, more old school. I certainly don't consider them dating apps. They're more dating sites with kind of an app component, but it's not a dating app. I think if you're on, I can't really speak to Coffee Meets Bagel so much because they do limited matches, and I'm not that well versed in them, but I have talked to men who have used it and liked it. I've not talked to any women who have used it and liked it. With OkCupid, I would say, for me personally, because I tend to like guys who are a little like stylish and like got it going on, which is not always a good thing. But those guys that are super current, I don't think are going to be on OkCupid. I think OkCupid's going to be more of like your regular guys. And if you're looking for a regular guy, then go there.
Got it. Okay.
Are they divided up by ages though? Like, is there a better app for if you're in your 20s versus 30s, 40s, 50s?
So you can set your age parameters.
That's true.
But again, I feel like you need to go where the numbers are. So I think whether you are I think 20s probably they're on Tinder, but I think if you're really looking for real relationships and dating, I go back to Bumble and Hinge, and then I think that's going to be 30. Honestly, that's going to be 30 to 60. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, you may have said this already, Gina, but with your master class, is that specifically for women and men? Do you have two different?
I have two different ones. Yeah, okay. I have a master class for women and I have a master class for men. It's like 1 in a million match system. So I go in and I review their profile, and then I optimize everything about their dating app profile, all of their information. I tell men who they should be. That's a big part of it. So I meet them through Zoom, and it's a 4-week program. And we swipe together. So they hold the phone up, and I show them who they should be swiping on, they should be looking out for, like red flags to spot. Because a lot of times people are swiping on the wrong people. They're matching the wrong people to get there. And then from there, I tell them how to navigate the next steps, which is the messaging. And so if you're on Bumble, for example, you know, I have this whole strategy and filter that I give women, so that they have to make these guys jump through some extra hoops to really pre-qualify. Some of the women they're scared to do it, but if they do it, it works, because then the guys that show up are the ones that really like them and that are willing to like raise their hand and make an effort. And so, so I teach them all that, and then how to message and how to, you know, because I think that a lot of times when you talk to people, they get mad at the dating apps. They're so mad at them, and they have a love-hate with the dating apps. They hate them and they love them. And they delete the app, and then they reinstall the app, and they delete.
Oh God, I know. I've heard that from my friends.
Yeah, and I think that a big part of it is because they're just not doing it right. Because I think that you need a streamlined system, efficient way, so that you can just rinse and repeat and kind of pre-qualify easy, get people on a call, and then get out on a date. And you do it very easily, so that you don't have a lot of different conversations happening for long periods of time, and then it doesn't go anywhere and you're exhausted.
Right.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Well, my old boss found some.
I have so much to say. I'm sorry.
I have somebody
that
found plenty of fish in the sea. Is that plenty of?
No, plenty of fish. I think it's plenty of fish.
Yeah.
Yeah, he found a lady, and they've been together for a couple of years.
When was that?
On that app, so I don't know much about. Plenty of fish in the sea.
When was it, Kelly?
When? A couple years ago. They're still together, so it's been a couple years.
Yeah. So I think plenty of fish is fine. There's a possibility you can find somebody anywhere for sure. Yeah. It just is a matter of what type you're looking for and what is going to suit you best. Now, has anybody talked to you guys about Luxy? Okay. So Luxy is the dating app where it's supposed to be, you know, super rich guys and, you know, women looking for super rich guys. I mean, we could simplify it and say it's like, oh, super rich guys and gold diggers, but it's not necessarily that. It is more of a, you know, high-end dating app scenario, but it's interesting because I do think you need to be verified, your income's verified and all that. And I know a lot of people who really like Luxy, and they do meet higher caliber people. It's interesting, the men tell me that a lot of the women on Luxy are usually not even in this country. So I don't know what Luxy's doing over there. But I think that they've opened it up to where, you know, you're obviously connecting and meeting people that aren't necessarily in the country. And a part of me thinks the reason behind that is because maybe they don't have enough people on the app. Same like the League. Do you know the League?
Yeah, I've heard the League. Yeah, so I've heard of it.
The League is also one where it's more like sort of like education elitists, like the idea is that you have higher education, better careers. Again, they give limited matching, so you only get like so many matches a day or a week. And again, my theory behind it is they probably, again, don't have, because you've got to have a ton of people on the app in order to see everybody all at one time. So if they limit the amount of people you see, it's probably strategic because they might not have a lot of people on the app.
Well, you must have seen so many changes in the last, you've been doing this, how many years? 10 years?
I've been doing matchmaking since 2008. I've had my business.
So that's
12 years.
Yep, GinaHendrix.com.
Yeah. So do you have a lot of success stories?
I do.
Marriages?
Yes, that's a good question, Kelly.
Yes. So first of all, I only work with 7 to 8 clients ever at one time. So my company's super, super small and boutique. So it's not like I have the huge like numbers to match. But you know, what's interesting with me is that when a man hires me, usually one of two things happen. Either get him into a relationship or he renews with me for another year. Now, one might say, oh, wow, you couldn't find anybody yesterday. But that is huge success because most matchmakers, like after somebody's worked with them a year, they'll never hire that matchmaker again. I'm having to like run my guys off sometimes. I'm like, I'm not doing a third year with you because, and that's a compliment to me because they know that I'm great at what I do, but they know how particular they are. I mean, I'm in the picky business. So, but to answer your question, yes, I've gotten hundreds, I don't know, thousands, hundreds of people into marriages and babies and the whole thing. And it's exciting.
I love that.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, I think I saw this on your website, or maybe it was a video of you I was watching, and you said that you have secrets that men tell you. And I was just wondering if you could give us even like one secret, you know, to entice our audience.
Well, I mean,
that women maybe are doing wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, no. I mean, an easy one that I think a lot of women don't think of these days. They think, you know, this stoic kind of look is like the way to go. But I can't tell you how many men tell me, you know, even if I show them the most gorgeous model, like 3-4 photos of her, and they'll say, okay, she's pretty, but does she ever smile?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
is she fun?
Is she fun? Is she
interesting?
But what they're judging from a picture is how warm her smile is. And so many women these days, because of the Instagram look, you know, the Instagram look is not to smile and be friendly. It's to be cool. It's to be very
What they call that, excuse my language, resting bitch face.
Or I think the Kardashians started this.
Yeah. We got to hold the lips like this.
Yeah.
You know?
But guys don't like that. Like guys don't like
who does? I don't like that.
They want a woman, when they're looking at pictures on a dating app, they're trying to see, they do want obviously to be attractive, but they want to see, are you warm? Are you friendly? Are you smiling? So I think women underestimate the power of a smile.
Yeah. Well, and personality. You know, I've heard a lot of stories because at one time I lived in Hollywood too, and a lot of stories of beautiful women who just couldn't find the right guy, but they were kind of boring and trying too hard to be perfect.
That's 100%. I think when I was answering that question before, it was more in relation again to sort of the dating apps, I guess, because you don't know you don't know your personality there. But yes, I hear that all the time as well. I mean, my guys don't even want, my guys don't want to date a girl who just has nothing to say and nothing going on. You know, there's this one woman I know, and I've known her for years, and she's a beautiful model. I mean, by anybody's standards, she's great. But she just has nothing to say. She has nothing to say.
Is that what they call vacuous? No.
No, I think vacuous might be more of she's not necessarily a taker. She just hasn't developed her own interests and her own life, you know? But the more interesting you can be, and you know, here's an interesting thing too I've noticed. When women fill out profiles for me, and here's another secret. When women fill out profiles for me, a lot of times they really gloss over and give me a very generic answer for the occupation and education, like really just marketing, sales, or just plain like master's degree or bachelor's, whatever it is. Yet when I've talked to them, they're running their whole division of the marketing strategy. They got promoted to VP. They have 2 masters. They have blah, blah, blah. And I'm like talking to them. I'm like, girl, why didn't you put any of this on your profile? And, you know, so it's unfortunate, but so many women have told me, I've never really dated a guy or met a guy that like cared about how smart I was or how, you know, interesting I am or my career. And so it's interesting to me that women these days have gotten more comfortable showing off their physical appearance, but underselling themselves how smart and accomplished they are. And here's the secret. I tell them, what I've learned from my guys is when a guy is also substantial and successful and great and got his life together, he wants a woman who's also smart and successful and has her life together.
I agree with that.
And there's only those guys who don't see that woman for a future that don't care about how smart or either he's not substantial or he's not looking for serious relationships. But because I find when a guy is looking for a real partner and seeing like, is she going to be the mother of my children? Is she going to be, you know, my partner in life? He's not going to bring on a partner that's like, doesn't have everything going on, right? So those guys that don't care about that, it's a red flag. It's a huge red flag.
I agree with you. Kellie and I talk about that sometimes. The more secure the guy is, they're the ones that want the woman that's really wow, that's got it all going on.
So true.
Right?
So true. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think personality is way more important than looks. I mean, obviously you have to be attracted to the person,
Right.
but the personality and what they bring to the table. You know, I always felt for really smart guys. I dated a lot of guys that weren't very good looking, but they were so smart or successful in their business I fell for that. I mean, I really fell in love with, you know, of course I dated some really good looking ones too, but, that had it going on, but some of them weren't. I mean, if you looked at my catalog of guys that I dated and picked, you're like, there's no theme here, except that they had charisma and they were successful. They were smart.
That's a good question. I think I have for you, Gina. Do a lot of your men have a certain type, or do they like, you know, have different physical types? You know,
I mean, they all kind of have somewhat different physical types to some degree. I mean, in all age ranges, you know, it's not necessarily that somebody needs to be really young or anything like that, actually. But I do have this thing that I talk about a lot, and I think we were going to talk about it at some point, but it goes hand in hand with this, is my whole thing that I teach called the A game, and I just sort of, I mean, I didn't invent the A game. That's like a term. Most guys know it from like playing sports and stuff, bringing your A game. Women aren't that familiar with it necessarily. But one of the things I created is it's a 2-hour video series for women, how to bring their A game to dating and in all areas of their life if they want to date an A game man. And then I go into what is an A game man. So I deal with, and you have to be careful how you say that, because you could say it really fast. It sounds like a gay man, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying an A game man. But anyway,
so, we get it.
Yeah, it's fun. Anyway, so I think as consistently, they definitely, my guys, while they might want all different types or age ranges, they definitely want someone A game, and that does mean when you get into A game, it means that you are operating at your highest level, which means you're operating. So whether you're 50, you're the hottest 50-year-old, you've got all your ducks in a row, or whether you're 60, you got it, like they want somebody fit for sure. They want somebody, active and smart and, so all of those things. But sometimes they're looking for tall, sometimes they're looking for blonde, sometimes they're looking for Jewish, Asian, it varies. That
whatever.
Yeah, but definitely A game.
Got it. We like that.
No slack.
We want to bring our A game.
Yeah. That makes sense.
See. So how can our viewers and our audience find you? They go to your website?
Yeah, they can go to my website. They can also just email me, because like my coaching is not on my website. Because the website's mostly for matchmaking, and the coaching is just something I sort of have taken on more on a person-to-person basis. I'm always honest. If I think I can help somebody, I will, and if I can't, I won't. And so they can just email me, and then I'll just direct them to that page where they can learn more about the coaching. So they can go to my website and look me up at ginahendrix.com, GINAHENDRIX.com, or just email me at gina@ginahendrix.com.
Yeah, because I already have a couple of women that are probably going to look you up. Because when I told them you were going to be on our show, they were like, "Oh, I can't wait to hear this one."
Great. Thanks.
Yeah, that's good.
I love doing
And so the coaching's an individual one-on-one basis, and you just do it through Zoom calls?
Yes.
And how long does it take, or is it just you stay with them? And
it's a 4-week intensive, but then there's another 8 weeks that happen with follow-up emails after that. So it's 12 weeks in total, but 4 weeks where every week we meet through Zoom.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And well, I'm luck with it. I've had quite a few women go through the program, and then they get into relationships. And I don't know, Kimbra, did you see that email I just sent out about Audrey?
Yeah, I was telling Kellie about that.
It's like one of my favorite stories. And so Audrey used to hit me up, and I have a lot of women that keep in touch with me because I also have a private group on Facebook called Badass and Brilliant.
I like that.
Badass
And you
and
also have models and mutts, but that's something different.
That's my animal charity that I do.
Right.
But Badass and Brilliant is kind of where just all great, I have a whole just gamut of great women are in there. So Badass and Brilliant Women on Facebook, you can find me. But anyway, so Audrey would keep in touch with me over the years, and she was getting depressed, and she was like 61, and and she needed help, but she didn't want to spend the money. Finally, after like a couple of years of talking to her, she finally did. And she leaped in, and I went in, and boy, did she need help with those photos. I mean, the photos were hideous that she was using.
I saw them, yeah.
Yeah, you only saw one. But for the caliber of man she wanted, she just wasn't bringing it. You know what I mean? And her information wasn't like, it's got to be a fine line of being clear about what you want, but also sounding a little playful. So we kind of did that.
That's true.
And then, she dated some guys and then would update me, and things were going well. She was dating one movie studio guy. And I mean, she was doing really well. And then all of a sudden I hadn't heard from her. And then I got this message, and now she's engaged, and she got the guy with the boat. She always wanted somebody with a boat.
And I thought he was handsome too.
He's adorable. I think they look adorable together.
Yeah.
But, she's no supermodel. You know what I mean? She's like a regular woman. But I will say, here's the thing. She's slim and trim.
Yeah.
So
she looks like she takes care of herself.
Yes, she does. But she doesn't have the work done, or she's a very real.
That's true.
person.
You're right.
But I will say, as a woman gets older, especially if you're single, you need to really stay in shape. That's kind of the one thing. Like, I honestly think the wrinkles on your face are less important than your body as you get older. When it comes to men. When it comes to men.
Got it.
Because as we age, we kind of let go of that, right? A lot of times. And so if you're fit at 50, 60, whatever, that kind of gives you a leg up on the competition.
Mm-hmm. I understand.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting because a lot of men, I've noticed, they let themselves go too. So for me, I like a guy who stays
fit as well.
Yeah.
Sure. You're fit. You want somebody fit. And you saw, I mean, both Audrey and the guy she ended up with, they both look like they're
they were. Yeah.
Because it goes hand in hand with energy and enthusiasm for life. And it's it's a whole thing,
I agree. I totally agree. So we gave them your website because we're going to have to get going here. Because we're going to get.
Wouldn't be able to get rid of me. That's okay.
No, I love that. We want to have you back at some point, right?
Yeah, we're so happy that you made the time for us today, because I know our audience will be interested. The men and the women will be interested in what you have to say. Because everything's virtual now. I mean, everything's online, even dating, everything.
Yeah, you may not like dating apps or online dating, but you know what? If you want to meet somebody, that's where you got to be these days.
Oh yeah, and you got to get
especially with COVID.
You got to get your Zoom on,
Yeah.
And you've got to get your Zoom on. Absolutely. You've got to I help people get comfortable with the camera and camera angles, the lighting and everything, because you can't cut corners with any of that stuff. You really gotta, you just have to think of it as like, it's competitive for like great people on the dating apps. It's incredibly competitive.
Wow.
That's true. That's true. Well, thank you so much, Gina. We're going to have your website below the YouTube video so people can find you. Okay.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we're going to, hopefully you'll be back again.
Sure. Love to.
Yeah. Thanks, Gina.
All right.
Yeah.
Talk to you later.
Nice to see you.
Talking.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.